Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Outside the Box video. As usual, I just do these videos whenever I want to talk about something here within this particular playlist, such as the case with my first ever concert experience, and this happened to be the Rolling Stones, no less, and the concert that they just had here this past Saturday near Austin, Texas. I had a great time, definitely an absolutely great time, but there was almost some scary stuff that was occurring there, not just with the size of the crowds, but also, as you're looking at here with the red arrow, this dude almost dying within the concert as well. This happened, in fact, after the concert ended, and it was something that was just totally unexpected. So I'm going to mention that more here in a minute. But yes, for this video, let's go ahead and let's talk about that now. And that's this, my Rolling Stones concert experience, and then also the two scary incidences that occurred there within the concert itself. So here's essentially what happened. For starters, again, yes, this is my first ever concert I attended in my life. Never had any inclination to attend any concerts before. It's just something within me that it doesn't really bother me when it comes to that. But when I heard that they were going to do another tour here in Austin, the very first time I think was back in 2005, maybe 2006. Finally, they were coming back to the Austin area. I thought to myself, let me go ahead and I'm going to definitely do that here. Wanted to go ahead and see them, have them be my very first concert experience ever. And then obviously it could be their last one too because of their age and the time period that it takes for them to revisit cities. What a perfect way to be able to have this experience here and have it be very nearby where I live. So definitely so many good things happening all at once. So I definitely wanted to go ahead and see this concert. And luckily I was able to have the wherewithal to come in at an early time period. The concert officially would have started at 7 p.m., but we decided to go there a little bit past 3. So, about 4 hours, almost 4 hours ahead, mainly just to ensure that all bases were covered, that we were able to find parking in time, that there was going to be no issue getting in, and so on, getting a good spot whenever it comes to our very, very, if you could call it, cheap lawn seats. Those are the cheapest ones you could get there for the concert experience. And you'll notice as the pictures progress that the crowd there will be getting larger and larger in terms of numbers. It started off pretty well at first, but then slowly but surely we saw that the number of people coming in just kept streaming in. In fact, here's where things started to get a little bit more concerning with the crowd size. We noticed that even after the concert began, it started with the introductory band. I think they were called the Ghost Hounds. They're the ones that started actually a little past 7. In fact, it was closer to 7:30, if I'm not mistaken, and they ended up taking about 45 minutes or so, so they ended a little bit past 8. Well, people were still coming in. In fact, there was an area you could kind of see from our vantage point, which showcased that there was a huge, absolutely huge sea of red lights and tail lights and then headlights, all of them going as pretty much as far as you can see up towards the sky, in other words, towards the horizon. And that tells us that there was still a large number of people coming in. Apparently, people were stating that there was just huge traffic jams. They absolutely were stalled for miles on end trying to come into the concert. And then that's why even after the Rolling Stones themselves started the concert, it was still not filled to capacity. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just going to stay as is. But boy, was I wrong, because little by little, and as you see as the photos showcase here, it just started to get even more and more busier, more packed, until it became officially more like sardines. In fact, we were almost shoulder to shoulder inside a huge, gigantic grassy area, very, very large. These pictures just don't convey how large it is. You may find some pictures online instead that showcase Circuit of the Americas and their filled capacity. But yes, eventually more people started to come in, more and more and more. There's statements from people online, indicating that it was oversold. But yes, this was a once in a lifetime concert experience. I could totally see why so many people wanted to come, but at the same time, it caused so many traffic jams for them that a lot of them, in fact, didn't end up even seeing the concert. They were stuck in traffic for 2 to 3 hours that by the time they got there, it was already over. And in fact, the concert ended a little bit past 11. The Rolling Stones did amazing, by the way. They just went through an entire set list. I think it was like 18 songs, most of them from their Let It Bleed album, but it was absolutely just amazing to hear them in person when they started off right at the beginning with, I think it was Street Fighting Man. I mean, they just hit it hard and they just kept pumping out the music as much as possible throughout the entire set. They just don't give up when it comes to showcasing the energy throughout the entire 2+ hour concert. Really, really good stuff. But yeah, some people did not have the chance to see the concert in person because of how they were stuck in traffic. But even then, they were almost, if you could call it, lucked out because by that point, there was so many people there that my understanding was the fire marshal or someone else was turning people away, even with the overflow of people there at the concert. That's where things started to get a little scary because you realize with so many people there, anything could go wrong all at once, and then obviously there could be bad things that happen afterward. So many people were there and so many people were being turned away that it was officially overcrowded. I mean, we went from having us being able to just lay down there on the ground on our little makeshift blankets to finally standing up, having some room, to finally just being shoulder to shoulder along with so many other people within that same area. I mean, it was packed. The people that were there in the bleachers were in fact stating that they were scared for us. I saw this on some Twitter posts and I saw this on other social media posts. They were a little bit scared for us because from their vantage point, it was fine. They obviously have assigned seats and they didn't have that crowded stance. But they said that looking into our area where we were and then backwards, and who knows how far back it went, all they saw was just a sea of crowds. The official tally still hasn't come out in terms of the number of attendants, but it turns out it's maybe somewhere between 50 to 100,000 people all there for the Rolling Stones concert. It kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies now thinking about it because earlier, and again seeing it slowly progress over the evening, and when you have that type of experience, it seems fine. But towards the end, looking at the end result, my goodness, having so many people in just one place all crammed together, like it was just something where something could have happened and it would have been really, really dangerous really quick. And so thankfully, nothing really bad happened. Everyone seemed to be respectful of each other and then just walking around trying to get from point A to point B as best as they could. The staff there at the circuit arenas, I thought did a really good job handling so many people. We were also really lucky to come in early, like I said earlier, and get food whenever we were there. We didn't have any lines associated with that. Restrooms had no lines at that point either. We were able to get water as well. So all that stuff really worked out for us. Same with the parking. Same going out as well. Whenever the concert ended, we didn't have any issues with that. But other people, my goodness, reading some of the stuff too, it was their experience was it took them hours to get out because of where they were parked. There was just a standstill of people all trying to get out. 50 to 100,000 people all trying to get out at the same time. And you can imagine that leads to several hours worth, not to mention the people that had to that were flying in, that were coming in from out of town, and because of it, they had to use Ubers and Lyfts, and there was hours and hours of waiting for that. It was just craziness. But again, I guess I lucked out. I had a good experience overall. Easy to get in, find a good spot, eat some good food, listen to the Stones, and then get out very easily. It all worked out pretty well for me, and so that's at least my experience when it comes to that. But yes, now let's talk about the very scary experience involving the guy that almost died there at the concert. Again, you're looking at a picture of him here. I have no idea who he was. He was just someone that was just a couple of rows in front of us, standing in front of us. But as it turns out, when the concert ended, there I was just fixing my blanket, trying to get all the grass off of it. And I noticed that he was stumbling, like when he was trying to get up from the floor. Like he was really weary. He was motioning himself from side to side. And initially, I thought he was drunk. There was a lot of beer that was being sold there within the concert. You could buy beer, you could buy straight up vodka and liquor as well. My understanding was they had an entire row of booths just for alcoholic drinks. And so I thought to myself, and I pointed out to my other party, and I said, look, looks like someone there is drunk. They can't essentially get themselves up, and then didn't give it a second glance afterward. I was too busy again inspecting my blanket, trying to make sure none of the grass was on it because it was going to go back into my car. But then, as it turns out, my other companion was like, look, look. And she kept pointing, indicating to me to look again. I said, yeah, I know, he's drunk. And she said, no, look, Fernando, look. And then that's when I turned, and lo and behold, his buddy, the guy with the hat next to him, was suddenly giving him CPR. I mean, that guy was just splayed out on the ground. He was just unconscious, and the dude was on top of him, completely giving CPR, pushing down on his chest multiple times, telling him, frantically to get up. And I thought, oh my goodness, is this gonna happen? Am I gonna see somebody die here at this concert? I have no idea, first off, why he was ill, like what had happened to him. I don't know if he was officially drunk, if it was other type of reasons for him being passed out, paraphernalia, anything like that. I have no idea. I don't even know if it was something medical, like if all of a sudden he was suffering something really bad like a heart attack or some kind of stroke or something. But yes, he was out. And here was his friend. Suddenly, it was that quick. Like he went from being stumbling to all of a sudden laying on the ground. And then the guy performing major CPR on him. That was how quick it was. And that was happening just right there in front of us. And so we tried to go see immediately if there was anyone, medical personnel or someone else that could alert medical personnel to be able to come out and talk, do something like to help him out. And when we went out to a nearby area, tried to find someone. And then finally, I was able to indicate, and I showed my companion, I said, look, it looks like somebody did bring the EMT and they were taking over and they were handling the situation. We stayed at least long enough just to make sure that everything was okay. We didn't want to leave not knowing, what happened, because you never want to, there's a chance that, yes, that something really bad could have occurred to him, but there's also the chance that he could walk away and that would make things feel much better. And that's essentially what ended up happening. He ended up getting up. We saw that the EMTs got him up. He was coherent. He was suddenly coming into it, and we realized that whatever had occurred to him that caused him to be in a really bad situation was slowly going away. So definitely this was a scary experience, seeing someone for the first time essentially just almost die right in front of you, like straight out of the movies when it comes to CPR and someone frantically trying to get them to be able to snap out of it, and having the EMT come over and then help him out and have everything him be okay. That ended up making things, end on a better situation. But that was at least that experience. So yes, the crowds got really big, really slowly, but eventually just oversized capacity. That was the first experience. If you've never been into that type of crowd, you don't know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you have, then you do have that experience. You realize that all of a sudden you're just a tiny person within a sea of people, and that anything could go wrong in an instant when it comes to people just suddenly running or going somewhere, and you would have no control over it. So there's that. And then the second experience, of course, being all of a sudden having someone almost die right in front of you, and not totally, totally not expecting that, and then having it just be right then and there. So yeah, that's it. That's at least my experience there at the Rolling Stones concert, going from a really great concert to those two weird and bad experiences, but still overall a great night for me when it comes to seeing my first ever concert. Anybody there here in the local area happen to go to the concert too? Let me know. Let me know what your comments are. Maybe if you sat in some of the other areas more towards the more expensive side where the bleachers are. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are with regards to what you were seeing from the oversized crowds and how it's spilling over and so on. Even to this day, people are still talking about that, even though it's a couple of days later. So interesting stuff. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.